Should be live. Hopefully I'm live. Once I see I'm live, we go. Oh, shit. I'm punching my mic already, which is a good sign. How's everyone doing? You know how it is. It's an Israel stream. I just said my name for some fucking reason. Already swearing. This stream's off to a banger start. How's it going, everyone? You know how it is. I'm live for JDG versus KT. Tomorrow we'll do T1. I skipped out streaming yesterday for a bit of a break, just to revitalize myself going into the semi-finals next weekend, because we've got an ample amount of time to break down all these series that realistically have been very good. And me being me, because they're starting at 7 AM, I turn them on my phone down there by my bedside locker, have it play, and then I immediately fall back to sleep, so I get the world's rewards as they're happening. And yesterday, really disappointed. They didn't drop any for me. Today, we got 4 for the best of 5, and finally we get some new emotes that I have been really wanting. Because I last year collected so many of these capsules because they were on during the actual a decent time to get them for work. So because they started at lunch, so I could have it on at work and just have it chill during my lunch break. And here it's just like, yeah, it's happening while I'm waking up, so I'm kind of not the best in terms of getting good results out of them. But I'm gonna quickly switch back to my main camera. There we go. Hi. Once again, my camera seems to be doing silly, goofy things recently, but I do have a nice double pack of Paldea Rift to just rip off the back to start this one up, as well as our next content piece for the month. I don't need to say much more than holy moly, this I was amazed to find, but it's a Charizard EX box. Like, the fact that I was able to get it, I haven't really seen what there is, but the fact that there's a big promo card Charizard in there. I know it won't be worth much, the card itself, because it's a promo one. But it's still a Charizard, and they tend to be pretty decent. But yeah, I'm going to pop these Paldea Rifts open today. I was meant to open them yesterday, when I was meant to do the stream, but I'm a day out, so I apologize on that. Code card, bang. So you may have noticed in the latest upload, I essentially hid the code card from the ETB box, the Pokemon Center one, because I do be liking. That's a nice card in the back there, but I do like these cards, and that is Slitherwing. Okay. I want to keep the essential ETB box for myself this time. And Toxel into Shin Pao. That's a decent card, to be honest. And then Aegislash in the back. Shin Pao's. So I have randomly on my X feed see like top decks. Shin Pao decks are apparently very good at the moment. I've also heard the new I Am Valiant decks are pretty chill as well. But yeah, there you go. Here's the code. See, this is a reason why you should watch these streams. I open Pokemon cards. Whether or not people claim them is a different story. But hey. So I'll just sift through this one on my own. Got Dark Energy, Bitplug, Fuecoco, Honedge, Dwebble, Cyclizar, Professor Churro's Scenario, Mishayo, Hone Edge again, or Beetle, and then our rares are Gosilopod. So, honestly, not the best, shall we say, from the 2-packs. And so this is the annoying thing, and I get to complain about this. But I work in marketing as a job, and so I kind of have an understanding of how to promote things. I should do, considering that's how I get paid. But essentially, I was in our local game, which is, if you're not from the UK, that is where all our video games are. It's our equivalent of GameStop. Essentially, I went, because I know where they keep their Pokemon cards. It's in the corner by the till. I went over there. They had no Paradox Rift on the shelves. They had that box that I just showed earlier. So I was like, okay, so where's the big things? Because I would have thought they'd have it. It turns out, it's not facing you as you enter the shop. It's facing you as you leave. So it's like, you've already missed it. As you walk. So the way it is, it's inside another shop at our game thing. Essentially, you walk in, the till's here, you walk up here, past the till, to here, to get to the Pokemon stuff, and it's on a wall here. So I look on that and check where things are, and then I go to till here, buy the cards. I'll move it in frame, there you go. I go to till, buy the cards, and then I go, oh, the new Paradox Rift stuff is right there. So it's not in a visible sight for, like, things, because it's on its own little box container stand that isn't clearly marked as Paradox Rift. It's just a clear stand. And so you just walk past it naturally, unknowing it's Pokemon cards, until you exit after you've made a purchase. And I got to it and I'm like, do I? Don't I? Because you would have thought it would be facing the entrance of the shop because it's a new product. But no. The smart boys in marketing over at Game aren't very smart. So, I didn't get another ETB for Roaring Moon. That would probably have been the one I'd gathered. So obviously, the Big Iron Valiant is still on my desk there. That's the thing you just heard getting bitch slapped. Anyway, we're here for League. I am slightly ill, under the weather. It's been cold. So I have a little cold. So, I probably will be going in ham, egg, and chips into this series. JDG versus KT Rolster. Into draft for game number 1 we go. It's quarterfinals matchups, and we've looked at JDG and Gen G very minute amount. Same with T1. In fact, a lot of these teams in the knockout stage, we've had very little run-ins with. We touched JDG once in the Swiss stage, where they absolutely dominated LNG. Here, they're against the Korean 3rd seed in KT Rolster, who arguably haven't been the best. I'd say they're probably the weakest team to make it out of quarters. Or into quarters, I should say. But hey, as the drafters continued on through the ban phase, big power picks already out of it. Rumble, Nico, Azir, Java, Kalista, Zaya. There's not many good top picks. Maokai, Renata, Oriana is one. Kind of the top mid lane pick at the moment. And looking at the options, there's not much. That being said, KT going to Athalio Sejuani. Topside, there is quite a few good options here. Renekton, Jax. Both top laners would like to go for it. On technically for 369 if he wants that pick. But JDG, they've got Ori. They've got very little in terms of ball carrying systems. So set up just yet, so I'd maybe think Rakan, Lee Sin as options for Knabe or missing. But as a whole, we are seeing Zeri come through into this Aphelios. Don't know how I feel necessarily about that. I think with the Sejuani there, it makes it a little bit harder to play Zeri. But I'd like this Rakan to come through because it does give a carrying mechanism for Knight Orianna. It's a good startup for this draft for JDG. And I am kind of emptying things into my bin. Apologies for that. There we go. So, KT, I'd probably expect... I may have expected their mid lane pick here just to match up the drafts. But they're going to go for Jack's top side. They can ban out the likes of Nah. What else is there? I mean, you could ban Renekton, though I wouldn't expect it. Ornn would be a ban I'd honestly expect for KT to throw out. But honestly, the draft so far, it hasn't matched up either side, so we are going to see some pretty interesting bans coming out here. As probably support bans coming through Nautilus. There's still Maokai up and available for JDG to go towards here, so I'd expect KT to maybe ban that out in second phase. Not as expected. Put maybe even a Thresh ban out here. Wukong going to be the removal from KT. I notice maybe a Thresh ban just so Aphelios doesn't have that safety tool. Renata also is a good ban. I may even see that coming out from JDG. But hey, the reason I think Renata would be a good ban is because you're probably expecting a triple. Actually, Talia. Wow, that's actually surprising. But it is a double ban, to say the least, because you ban out a pick for BDD. Actually, it isn't a double ban, it's just a targeted mid ban. Weird. So, Lulu comes through. Lahen's on an enchanter. We haven't actually seen many enchanters at this World Championship. They've kind of fallen off. Engage became more of a priority at MSI. So teams have been prefacing that over these enchanters, as we are probably going to see 369's Renekton into Jax, which is kind of a losing matchup to say the least. But Ornn, I would have honestly preferred an Ornn here, having a bit more long range engage, because Jax will just get outlaned very hard by this Keen Jax. And JDG just flexing all the junglers, might as well go through every single option. And it appears they're setting their sights on the Lee Sin or the Rel. That's actually quite nice. Rel's a good ban overall, or pickup I would say, because it does... Well, it would have been nice if KT hadn't locked in Lulu in 4th, but it's still a decent pickup here. You've got a champion that can Magnet Storm and Shockwave combo together. That sounds like a proper big umbrella of damage. But yeah, that's a very difficult thing to execute, but I like it. Now BDD on his Akali. That's a surprising pickup, to say the least, into what JDG have. I think the Akali may struggle to get things done. I'd probably expect an early gank out of Knabe into the mid lane to shut him down. But realistically speaking, the drafts... You've got a decent draft here for KT. You've got AP burst, you've got frontline strength, you've then got your Aphelios, who will be just a late game menace with a Lulu next to him. The shields, the protection. I think how KT want to play against JDG is very optimal, because you've got a Renekton who'll try to get into the backside, you've got a Rakan who'll be doing the same. If you polymorph one of them, probably it would be polymorph into Renekton for the damage wise, and you just let the Rakan run through you and try and charm everyone. But you minimize the effectiveness of this dive comp that JDG have with this Lulu. And I like it a lot because you can actually peel very easily for your Felios, as well as provide it so much extra damage that essentially KT Rolster should be favoured if this game goes past 25 minutes. And they were obviously quite close. Just taking a stock check on items. This game is one that has actually come to mind for me, especially because if you have LS followed on Twitter, like I do for some reason, he said this is the first game where double cool happened. It's not, I assure you, it's not the first game in the world where double cool has happened in the bot lane, because I am a cool aficionado. I spot that stuff. This is actually the third or second. It's not the first. It's happened before. Essentially, this lane both want to kind of just scale up, farm away. It's a standardized thing for this to be happening. Felios known for picking up cool. Zeri not as much. Usually expect Dorans, but there have been a few Zeri players, like Ruler, who have gone for this cool start. Just because you look at the JDG comp and you think they also kind of want to scale up a bit. You've got an Orianna with a huge amount of burst when it gets to late game. Zeri doing Zeri things tends to require a lot of scaling as well, so as a whole, JDG kind of have a tendency to build this extra scaling comp as mid lane. Excuse me. Never mind, bot side already a flash blown, as aiming's going to be missing that summoner. That's huge, as mid lane BDD getting chunked out by the Orianna. Mid lane, you're already seeing the effectiveness of a melee versus range matchup, and the melee matchup being very hindered. Akali early game with the energy usage is kind of a issue you have to deal with, because to farm you technically have to be using your Q, and to use your Q you need mana. Once you hit level 3, level 2 with the W, you're able to farm it a little bit easier, but already in the top side we are seeing the effects of the Jax Renekton matchup, where Jax is always heavily favoured due to the counter strike just negating the Renekton's ability to trade heavily with the stun. You're basically in a issue of a matchup here if you're KT. So as a whole, top lane in favour of KT, mid lane in favour of JDG. The standardized thing in terms of these matchups. Bot side fairly even. So it comes down to junglers, and already we are seeing both of them making early invades into one another's jungle, setting down a bit of deep vision in roughly about the same place, slightly further up for but they're matching jungle clear speeds very well. They're both even, to say the least. Slightly ahead, I would say, is Zarel, because she got back to base first, but it's only a minute advantage, and it won't make that much difference in terms of gank times, which we should probably start to look at. Where do we expect ganks to come through? Mid lane in its current state, I wouldn't say we'll see any action from JDG. I think the Akali is a little bit too slippery to get a kill onto her. However, bot side probably would be a decent place to see a kill, as KT are positioning down here. I think the fact that this is an even matchup, you kind of want to see some action towards it. But no, we're not seeing that just yet. Knight getting a heavy trade down onto BDD, who still has teleport. Both middle laners have TP. Should probably use that here, considering how low he's getting. no pots either. Knight has 2, so yeah, you'd probably take your reset here, burn the Oriana's 2 pots in your inventory as topside. Just a little skirmish. Slice of dice, not gonna tag up the jacks too much. So, just watching the matchup go ahead. Junglers are just doing the Benny Health stuff, as Rel's actually managed to sneak past the Sejuani, so this gank's unknown. So Keen's in danger, a lot of danger here. Way too far forward, jumping onto 369. Grandmaster's Might and Dominus traded out, but the Rel's here. The crash down comes through, the stun, flash, but the Q, the call of the meat, keeps 369 alive enough to get the first blood. Now the junglers are trading into one another. That's just going to be an evenish trade. 1 for 1 in the top side of the map. But the first blood goal goes over to JDG. And that's kind of the benefit here. Now this top lane matchup, going to be a bit more difficult, I would say, for Keen now. Due to the goal going into the back pockets of 369. Whereas the kill credit on this side went over to Cuz, so that matchup a little bit more favourable as bot side, just evenish trades. BDD making a roam down. As bot side, constant trading coming out here. I need to really blow my nose, so apologies. Apologies for that. I am freezing cold. It's cold here. It's a simple way to word it. So my nose is bunging itself up as I try to speak. But yeah, we watch this top play again. 369 gets back over to Knabe as quick as possible. Jax gets stunned, but he immediately flash counter strikes, thinking, okay, we can get first blood because Sedge is here. But no, it's not in time. As the Rel's just free firing him. It's just a little sliver of difference in terms of speed out from JDG to secure first blood. That being said, back onto the map quicker was the Sejuani, and she's gone straight to this Drake. And as such, she gets that for her team. KT starting the stack early. Never mind, it's stolen. It's just stolen like that. No protection. How? Excuse me. The fact that the Rel was easily able to walk up and smite steal it is a bit of an issue. Because if we just walk, I just want to see the map state as this happens. So, mid's pushing technically in favor of JDG, but they're irrelevant. Excuse me. in this scenario because the Akali can't join up, neither can the Orianna. They're just trying to farm wave. Top side, the push is being applied by Jack, so he could come down and TP, but it's way too late. This situation, Lehens probably could polymorph, but the only one with a stun here is the Sedge. And she just lets him get too close. There's no one stopping him from walking forward. Like, Cuz could honestly have queued, pushed him back, and then comboed down the Drake like the Rel with her W. But no, she gets stunned and the smite comes through quicker. So Knaave steals away the objective. Simple as that. Now KT forced to retreat, take the long path back because Zeri has got push into the tower. So Lehens can't just come straight through river. And so he's lost out on a bit of XP. And that may pay dividends in terms of a level 6 play out from missing. But that's a if as a little bit of a trade coming through. Just tickles the damage. Red, white means do not fight. Aphelios is very strong, so he'll get wave control back once again. Very happy to just give that one up for a bit. And back to top. It's just farm friendly time. Everyone just wants to farm in peace. Nave will spot out the Rift Heralders. Bot side, Rakan going aggressive. Does have level 6. Not going to pop the quickness just yet. The Lulu needs to catch up in terms of XP to hit the Wild Growth, but that will not happen in time as already we've got a 3v3 possibility as Rel looking to chase down BDD, forces them away from the objective, and there's going to be the engage. The Sejuani ult comes through as the Magnetstorm just pulls together all three members of KT, but the perfect execution finds its man as Knaave falls. No jungler available for JDG, but 369. And Knight say thanks for the low health bars. Thanks for the fight, broskies. And gets the execute down onto Keen. This top lane matchup, we said would favour the Jacks. But for now, it's going in favour of 369's Renekton. So, as a whole, we kind of have to put questions into this top lane. Because that's going to force some plays here. As this fight is very messy, it's scrappy. As on the bottom half, we got the Akali and the Ori trading into one another. Zed throws out the ult, trying to hit 369, instead hits the Rel. So the Rel's in the issue, so she uses the Magnetstorm. Forces the play. Great use of the perfect execution there from BDD to get the chase angle correct to hit Knaave, because quite easily the Rel could have avoided the ult, but it's just a good angle out from BDD to execute him off. Probably could have flashed as well to secure it as well. But hey, a kill into the Akali's back pocket is huge. Here is where KT are just trying to back away and get away from the two members. But Keen, he uses his leap strike and it doesn't get him enough distance, so he just falls. And JDG trade 1-for-1. Herald still not secured by either team. And Keen kind of trying to protect the objective for his jungler to come down. Instead, 369 is going to actually get caught out. Stunned up, in place of Counter-Strike, does a bit of work. The Aftershock, though, gone from the Sejuani. Possibly look for a re-engage here, because 369 does have TP. But missing, he's alone here. 4 members of KT roster in the area. Lehens matched roam up. So it could be a bit of an issue. However, look at the bot side. The ADC stayed down there. TP a bit too late from 369. And that means Herald goes over to KT roster without very much of an issue. But a top lane play could come through as Dominus is propped into Grandmaster's Might. The Magnet Storm not going to do too much work, but it is going to result in the death of the Jax. A 1-for-1 Twade. This is just a repeat. This is just the exact same thing we saw early in the game for First Blood. It's just the junglers. The kill went over to 369, but the kill went over to Cuz. Like, oh, if you're the Jax here, you must be hating the fact that you're not getting the kills. Because you are just getting absolutely wrecked by 369. Mid, Kali is going to use her ultimate as Lahens takes a lot of damage. Makes it back to safety, however. Zeri not going to pop off just at this moment. We are starting to see first items, mythics being picked up by either side as Radiant Virtue picked up by Cuz a few seconds ago. We've got a Storm Razor on this Zeri for now. Versus a Kraken Slayer on the Aphelios. So two different new Quiver items coming out onto the Rift here. As we watch this top play again, it's pretty much the same thing. Sedge and Jax trying to make a play, but the Magnet Storm, it looked a bit weird. It looked like it wasn't that effective. The stun didn't really land from the crash down. And it looked like, honestly, it would have been a 1-for-0 trade in favor of KT as that fight continued on. However, 369 pulls it out the bag, able to get the damage down onto Keen and just kill him off before he can really have an impact in the fight. As bot side, we are going to see an engagement as Zeri pops her ultimate. The zaps are going to be fired out as the quickness also used, but the Wild Growth keeps aiming alive. Magnet Storm comes through, Cuz here as well. There's the 4 members of this. KT rolls aside in the bot side. Yukali free firing in, aiming, able to slay off the Rel. No jungler available to JDG, so you have to feel KT should feel comfortable going towards this objective. However, Knight's down here now, and actually that was a weird fight, to say the least, in terms of member matching, as Polymorph goes this Orianna as perfect execution brings BDD closer. Not going to result in a kill. Instead, it is going to result in the flash being used as topside. 369 trading into King, getting minion blocked here. So can't advance too much further. It's just going to be a bit of a trade between the members across the board. And we need to watch this fight again to understand how it happens. Essentially missing. Goes in. Catches Aphelios. Tries to allure him with the quickness, but fast fingers of the cleanse flash out from aiming. Gets him to safety. And then here, bit of an overstep, to say the least, coming out from JDG. They over chases Kave. He dived forward, no escape tools left, and just gets immediately shut down and bursted out. Now, surprisingly, he's back out onto the Rift quick enough to get to this Drake, and with 5 members of JDG down for this objective, you can kind of see what they're prefacing this game now. 2 Drakes secured for JDG as the Ocean Rift rises to life. Ocean Soul, the prize for whoever gets to the 4 Drake mark. That is certainly a good prize as JDG stopped the Herald charge in that mid lane. That's actually a huge prize for them. They do, however, give over first turret blood to this Jax due to the fact that 369 made the room down to secure some gold to secure that Drake. Needed the 5 members to make that play happen. And it's actually quite surprising to see that lane economy so far in favor of KT Rolster, because as a whole there hasn't been too much action. 1 extra kill goes in their favor, but I would have honestly have thought to have seen 369 in an advantageous position. However, he hasn't got as many turret plates. He hasn't killed enough turrets to match up to Keen just yet. And even though the Jax is 0-3-3, compared to the 2-2-1 Renekton, it's certainly an issue as BDD spotted down here. Knave on the chase, on the hunt, the shockwave not gonna pull the Sakali in. But the quickness comes through. This is so many ultimates, so many abilities used here by JDG to try and catch out BDD. It's not gonna work out. And instead he gets to stay alive, gets to farm up this wave under the tower. KT Rolster sitting happy, sitting healthy on the map as mid lane. Because of the 3-member investment from JDG, they've given up pressure to aiming. He's getting turret damage down. He's putting pressure onto the map. Similar sort of story in the top side with the Jags, who's just been able to free farm for the majority of the game. However, could we see a possible engage here from JDG? They're positioning around. They know Herald's up and available. Herald actually wasn't used in time for turret plates, was it? Oh well. Second Herald going to be secured up here because you have to feel there won't be any contest out from JDG. Certainly didn't really contest the first one too heavily. And as such, objective secured for KT Rolster as they get to keep their map pressure. They've got a very strong solid state on the map. And I probably expect CBDD TP down to the bot side if this push comes heavily through from JDG. However, he has done quite well to roam down here, but it's a bit too late. The turret falls, so he goes back into the jungle for a little bit. You would have thought he may have TP'd down there to save the tower, but he gives that one up here as top side. The Dominus is forced out from this Renekton. Gordrinker picked up, so he's going to be able to stay alive, stay healthy. However, Knight TP's up to the top lane. It's going to force an issue as Lahens gets caught out in the mid lane. Zeri gets her first kill of the game, and Ruler is on the board to try and slay through all of KT. However, could this be an overstep as a double TP comes out from KT? They are not going to be able to get too much other than the summon is out from Ruler. This Zeri not able to play as aggressive as she would like. No cleanse, no flash, no tower anymore in this mid lane. As the Herald crashes in, it's finally going to kill off the mid lane tier 1. And JDG, while they pick up a kill on that tower dive, they're still giving up gold. The turrets being secured by KT allows them more access onto the map, allows them more pressure in the jungle, and that's certainly an issue that JDG will have to deal with for quite some time, as 19 seconds until this Ocean Drake. Ocean Soul Point for JDG if they secure it. But 369, he's tempting fate here. Gonna back away. Not get jumped on just yet. As KT start up the objective. A 2k gold lead from turrets basically is how this game has gone. And JDG, they can't stand it. They're looking to fight as a flash forward coming out from 369 gets onto aiming, but the Wild Growth keeps the Aphelios alive. And now you have to feel JDG being corralled into the wrong side of the map, being force low, jumped on, Rulers down, BDD gets a kill, and now you have to feel it's all over. All of JDG are falling on the map, and all that is left is Rel. She won't go too hard. She won't go to steal it. She's going to have to be forced to back away to hopefully fight for this Baron. As JDG lose 4 members around this Ocean Drake. Overcommit, overforce onto 1 member. Only get his cleanse. That is a huge investment, honestly, from JDG to try and kill off aiming. There's a flash W out from Renekton gets onto the Aphelios, but look how far he chases. He forces them back, but don't kill him. That's an issue, because aiming, still alive, still got all his abilities. He's able to just free fire it in. He's got red gun, so he's able to heal up with his autos. And JDG overcommit into KT's jungle, trying to kill off the Aphelios. That doesn't, well, it doesn't result in too much for them. They're certainly on the back foot. They get very little out of that play. And their Ocean Drake stack is scuppered as the Drake goes over to KT. And that's going to probably result in the game, because Soul's now delayed another 10 minutes if JDG won it. That 5 minutes bought by KT with the Drake. They're already pushing out on the map. This Jags, while we said it was behind, it's somehow sitting with a bounty, doing a lot of work for itself in them side lanes. I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen a Hullbreaker build coming out from it just yet. But, cuz playing tempting fire here. Not gonna get jumped on just yet. He knows he's got the safety of the Lulu and the fellows behind him. So, JDG aren't gonna overcommit. Losing vision now on the Baron. As such, KT kind of ruled the roost of the map. They're trying to get forward here. Our JDG is missing. Possibly could have got caught out there. Not gonna happen though, as Cuz facing off against Knave, who's not found too much impact with this rel this game. It's looked a little bit dicey from time to time when he goes for plays, but as it stands, the game sits firmly in control of KT Rolster. A big 5k gold lead to them. And now we could kind of see it coming from the kills. Typically it's all come from towers, as they're up 2 towers over JDG. A lot of turret plates secured as well. That was mainly going into Keen, who hasn't found a kill just yet. Probably will do in an upcoming fight, an ensuing fight to say the least, as he's now got himself a stopwatch. Probably going to go full Zonyas with his Jax. Bottom side map, 3 items. Strong is aiming, as he's got himself his LDR and his Gale Force since the last time we spoke about his items. Comparative to the Storm Razors and the Namori Quick Blades of the Zeri, who looks to be building up her, what's it called, the Steel Immortal Shield Blade. That's the name of the item. I tend to always forget the name of that one. But anyway, yeah. Simply put, for next minute, we're probably going to just see some investment from either side into the rivers, with the fact that KT able to get some deep vision if needs be around this bottom half of the map. But 369 trading into Keen, who's popped his Grandmaster's Might. Not gonna get too much out of it, however. That is a big ulti used ahead of this Drake fight, you have to feel, as Cuz gets tagged up there. Not gonna be forced out of it, forced to use any summoners just yet. In fact, he's forcing JDG back into their own jungle. 369 made a little roam up to the mid lane. Ready to fight, you have to feel, our JDG. They know this game's slipping out of their control. It's certainly out of their control already right now, but more and more, the longer this game goes on, the more this Aphelios and Lulu are able to absolutely demolish JDG's chances of winning. As Gale Force can be used aggressively there by aiming. Does a decent chunk of damage to missing. And you have to feel the fight is brewing, as everyone is crowding around this mid lane. Backso coming out from JDG. They're trying to play this one safe. The Drake's up. And it's actually just going to be Keen going over to secure that. That's another Drake loss for JDG, as the game isn't going to be revolving around that objective for much longer, you have to feel. As it buys another 10 minutes until Seoul for either team now. And what's more important is the fact that both teams are even in Drake's. So the power of them aren't going to be as noticeable, and KT have done a good job to claw them back. Considering the fact that one of the Drakes, the first Drake in fact, was a steal by Knave. It's actually surprising how far ahead KT are against the first seed of the LPL, who, let's be honest, have looked good at this World Championship. They've been very formidable, and as a whole, it's weird to see them in this sort of position, because it doesn't feel like they're losing. It hasn't felt like they've been losing all game, but they have been, and KT just seem to be playing this weird style that seems to be kind of them playing on the back foot, trying to bait in JDG into fighting them. But it's not really resulting in that kind of play, as KT just advancing forward, claiming back the vision in this bottom half of the map. You kind of have to feel they may start to force things, because at this stage of the game, KT don't get too much stronger only with the Aphelios, and that is typically their strongest point in the map. So they're going to force this Baron, they're going to get the TP out. It's already very low, and it's Baron is secured by KT. The engage comes through as bottom half of the fight is going to be very hard for the Zeri, getting jumped on by Keen as BDD already gets the first kill of the fight, and now Aiming gets onto a rampage, continuing to chase, continuing to fight as JDG, they lose 3 as KT get the big purple worm buff, and they're already on the march. They're on the victory warpath, already into this tier 2 tower in the mid lane. It should probably result in the inhibitor tower falling, as Counter-Strike gonna land. 369 taken very low, is actually gonna be slain off here as the stun's too powerful out from KT Rolster. Doesn't allow the Call of Me, Call to Go Drinker to be used. And Aphelios, really powerful right now. Got the green gun, gonna be able to shoot from quite a far distance. As Rel forces the crash down out as the missing gets a decent knock up into the air, but Zeri's down. Aphelios is dominating. Kali getting a double. This game is over. Everyone on JDG is down. Game 1 goes to the KT Rolster. 3rd seed for Korea over the 1st seed of the LPL squads. What a first game. I don't think anyone really expected KT Rolster to basically roll through JDG like that. They force Baron and get the kills, and that results in them pushing for the win. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Let's go into our next game on JOL. Or GOL. That was wrong. It was a lot quicker than that. Spoiler alert. It seemed that long, but it wasn't. But so, let's take a look-see at the second game. And sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. We'll look at drafts. The bans. Sedge getting removed this time for what was in that second slot? Nico being allowed up. So presumably JDG first pick Nico. Already noticing a bit of a trend of Knave, 369 and Ruler popping off. And technically missing as well if you class that as pop-off. 0 deaths on a Rakan. All hands on Renata. That was allowed through this time. Ruler got sent into the second phase of bans. Yikes. Ends upon the Jinx. Heads off, popping off. Objective control. No soul. But it's weird that there was a Drake that actually spawned after Baron. Presumably last fight was around the Drake. Gold graph indicates it was fairly clean from JDG. That damage graph, Renekton really didn't find that much impact comparative to the Aatrox. Jungle, similar story, but that's actually kind of surprising. Yeah. Jesus, it was a 50 CSD in the jungle. Yikes. As a whole, just outplayed. Overperformance from JDG in game 2, which leads us into game number 3, which we'll watch on GOL. I don't know why I closed it, but GOL, my best friend for Worlds and for breaking out games. Let's be honest, it saves so much time looking at things on here. Game 3. So KT ended up on blue, JDG red. Nico added back in. What was their third ban? Azir. So they allowed Azir through, probably first pick by BDD. Orianna pop-off game. Another unkillable Rakan game 4 missing. Playing on the front foot with Rakan seems very easy. This one was a lot closer. It ballooned off at about 18 minutes, so... Drake fight? Soul was secured by JDG as well. Uncontested. It's surprising that there wasn't another Baron here. There wasn't even a Baron. Like, I would have thought maybe we would have seen a Baron, but this game seems like it was just drawn out to just a Drake game. Orianna doing Ori things. Need I say any more? Surprising that I think aiming. So my mindset for this game was essentially it would have been they picked off aiming and then were able to push for a win in that last team fight, because he seemed to be the big damage dealer. And when did he actually die on the timeline? Yeah, 26 minutes. He gets slain by 369, and that results in the push for the game. Presumably, it was just a we need to kill aiming at all costs situation that ended up being a very late into the game thing, and that's why it got stalled out, and you couldn't really force Baron. That's my mindset for game 3. But let's look at game 4. Finally, on GOL. There we go. JDG on red side, blue side for KT. Rumble Nico removed by JDG. Kalista, Jarvan, Wukong by KT Rollster. Xayah, I think, may have to hit the ban phase after the last game. It just seems too strong. It shouldn't really be allowed, but it's still going to be the Sejuani removed. That should probably be first pick Xayah and then Azir. will be picked up here by JDG or Orianna. Probably Ori. That's sort of their strength. They also should definitely take away the Rakan. Don't allow the full Lovers duo through. That would make the most sense for me. And then Orianna. Because then you have the ball delivery system still throughout this series. It's been their combo they've gone to. Makes the most sense. KT should probably get Azir here. Along with the Vi. That would be my mindset. But they're going to allow the Azir into the ban phase. As Lulu is locked in for Lehends. I'm kind of surprised that that is the option. Usually you lock Lulu in with something not as safe as the Xayah. I don't like it as a whole. I'd much rather see a Rel or a engage heavy support, Alistar maybe, to knock the Rakan away, to knock away the ball delivery systems. That would have been a bit nicer. But JDG, they match everything except mid and jungle being the difference across the team. So bans gonna come through. It's looking a lot like game 1 as Akali though gets removed out of the pool. BDD popped off too heavily on that in game 1. He's not allowed to have that here in game number 4. KT probably should remove out topside picks from JDG. I think Jax, Aatrox, that was certainly one I was going to mention. It was something that last game it looked like 369 found a lot of success with. As Azir gets removed from BDD's hands, that's probably one of his strongest mid lane picks. Now I happen to think about what there is as options for him there in the mid lane. And there isn't too many good things that are AP. Silas, I guess, is one. I don't know how useful Silas would be, but I'd certainly like it as a whole because you're going into that. Syndra also is a good option. It depends how well you want to play that matchup though. But Rel removed off the board by KT Rolster means that we're going to see probably a full AD jungle for JDG. Knaave is known for his Lee Sin. That gets to come through. KT round out their draft now. I'd probably expect to see Syndra or LeBlanc. That was the other one in my mind. Because BDD has played that at this tournament, I believe. But topside probably will take priority here as the lock-in. I think Jax did well for Keen in game 1. He performed very well on it. He's probably going to see a Renekton on the other side of a Rift, however. And there's a Syndra. Kind of no-brainers. You want to control mage in mid lane, you go for the Syndra. The response from JDG isn't going to be the Renekton, which I'm grateful for. Because that did not work out, I don't think, into the Jax. You were always 1-for-1 trading. Go for something that can essentially do work in the top lane. And it's going to be the Gragas. Very surprising that it's a Gragas here. Because you would have thought maybe it'd be I'd honestly have thought it would have been a full AD carry-esque pick like the Cassante or the Renekton for 369. But Gragas comes through, and I like it because you've got a full AD jungler. You're pairing it alongside a Orianna in the mid lane. There's a lot of removal of stick on this JDG side because you can essentially use the cast to blast away KT. So like the likes of the Vi and the Jax can't really get onto JDG. Use the cast well, use the Dragon's Kick effectively. You've even got technically the peel on both the mid in terms of the shockwave to pull away targets. This is a very awkward comp, I would say, out from JDG. It's got a high skill ceiling because you have to essentially play very weirdly with your ultis. Because the cask needs to come after the shockwave. The kick then comes through. Kick could honestly come with the shockwave. But basically, the cask and the shockwave are kind of anti-synergy that won't find the same effects as intended. Because they'll both, well, don't get me wrong, full burst abilities, they will do differing effects. So I think there'll be a lot of issues with how JDG use them ults when it gets to team fighting later on. And I think that there may be some struggles out from them. Now, obviously, JDG touted as the best team in the world right now, with the fact that they've won pretty much everything this year. So there is obviously a high skill level for them, and the ceiling is very, very high. And they can probably play this comp stupidly well. But the pressure is on them here, as they are technically in an awkward situation, as topside 369 forced to learn his belly bop, as you don't really want that to be your start, but he does go for it as bottom side. That's already going to be an exhaust traded for the ignite, as the ADCs free firing into one another. That's a massive trade between the two bot lanes, who are kind of already wanting to fight. They're wanting to go aggressive early. It's not going to be a double cool start like the first game. It's double Dorans, so the trades are going to come out. They're going to be very heavy. And realistically speaking, I want the aggression. I want to see how these two teams mesh up against one another. Because right now, we're looking at two comps that will fight very well into the late game. And this is kind of an old school counter topside matchup, I'm realizing. Because Gragas used to be locked in against Jax a whole lot in the past. Because you were able to essentially use the belly bop as he counter-striked in. And you just pushed him away so you didn't get stunned. Whether or not it's as effective now, I'm not entirely sure. Because this is rework Jax. So maybe it isn't the same effectiveness as what it used to be. But as a whole, this is kind of a big investment here from Cuz. Sat waiting for the blue buff to be started up. He has got vision of the objective, and he's going to go aggressive onto Knaave. Roam down from the hens as well to provide protection for his jungler. The buff, though, gets stolen away from Knaave as the continuation forward. That's going to be flash out from the hens. Not going to be able to pick up the kill, but this Lulu has no escape tools, no safety, and is jumped on for first blood. Over aggression. That scatter weak is lovely, though, coming out from KT as they trade one back. The jungler falls, and now on the run are JDG, as bot side of the map already sees a lot of attention by both teams. And you got to think that was very aggressive from Lehens, and he gets punished from it. It was an overstep and a half. The flash didn't really need to be invested. And as such, he dies for first blood, giving over gold to JDG. That's very impactful, because the kill went over to Ruler. Probably the worst person possible to get the gold if you're a fan of KT Rolster. As we watch this again, honestly, you didn't need to flash there. And it was known about he flashed. So he gets immediately jumped on, as already BDD being ran down. Knaave gets the kill. And this is turning into desperation. Misplays out of KT Rolster, just getting punished heavily across the map. And that's going to result in him forced to TP back to mid lane. BDD, we need to know how you got caught out there. Because that really should not have happened. You should have been playing very far back in your lane. So, as it stands, JDG sitting quite nicely with a 500 gold lead as topside. Uh-oh. Keen going to be forced to flash that Sonic wave. And away he goes back to base. He has got TP. But no flash means he's got to play extra safe, as it's going to be respectfully matched by 365-9. He goes back to base himself. Now, KT, while that top play happened, I'm going to see Cuz go to this Drake. Start that one up for himself. Mid lane, BDD forced off the wave quite a lot. And he's going to have to path his way nicely around his minions to get safety. Because Orianna picks up level 6, so has 369 in top lane. Nowhere near close across the rest of the map as BDD. Nice trade down on tonight. But topside, not going to see any nice trades. Keen just pathing his way down. Trying to secure a bit of vision, a bit of control around his own jungle. As the rest of his team positioned around the bottom side of the map, obviously very wary of Knave's making early plays. As bot side, that's going to be the grand entrance forward. The release in is down here. Vi not going to respond, is just clearing out her own jungle. Trying to keep herself ahead in the CS column. And while, sure, she is slightly behind in terms of the kill pressure that this Lee Sin has put onto her opponents. Oh, that is so annoying if you're Knave. Your back cancelled twice. Never a good thing, especially now as aiming denied it. It allows Cuz to make a play for his own right. Steal away this red buff. And Lee Sin won't make it in time, I don't think, to the objective. There's once again trading out of the bot lanes. Nice route coming out from aiming. Desire doing a lot of work. But it's not going to result in too much. Other than technically Cuz stealing away the red buff. And Knave unaware of this happening. We'll probably check that once he's cleared out his raptors. And yeah, I think at this stage he knows his camp's gone. So, forced to go for the next nearest thing, which is his raptor, Krugs, sorry. As the Rift Herald spawns. Probably going to see a bit of a play up here, as the push is in favor of 369 right now. Going for the full AP build, probably going to go for the Everfrost to get the extra stun down. But look at the collapse coming out from KT. They've brought aiming up to this Herald. It's looking like we're getting a full 5v5. This early on in the game, this could be decisive of who wins. As 369 going to keep Keen away. The objective is secured by KT. 369 forced to flash out though. He's missing. Tries to body block. Isn't going to do too much here. As Cuz secures the Herald for his team. Now 369 in a bit of an issue. Being collapsed on as mid. We're just seeing trades across the map. BDD forced to flash. Topside. 3 members of JDG show up. They're not going to allow Tower Dive to come through as Cuz he's charging the Q. Stops Knight's back. And it is resulting in the Dragon Kick being used. Oh, you hate to see it. Knave not able to steal away the red buff to get his trade back. To get revenge for his own red buff being stolen. As good work there by Keen to realise the danger, realise the threat of what this Lee Sin was doing. And gets himself a red buff for himself. Well, sure, not the best because you kind of want that on your jungler for now. It still goes into KT Rolster's hands. And that's going to make this Jax even more difficult for 369 to deal with. Now, surprisingly, 369 has got a bit of a gold lead. The CSD advantage for himself is kind of immense in that technically now bot side of the map. And as such, KT Rolster probably will try and force some more plays. I'm kind of trying to keep my eyes on where Cuz is positioning. And he's hovering around this top half of the map, trying to provide protection to BDD as well as his bot laners. And I just saw my favorite thing that Gragas can do is belly bop this Jax as the cask. Not going to be as effective as he would like. Used to chunk him out. 369 though probably would have preferred for that to have knocked him towards the Lee Sin as mid lane. Scatter Weak used allows for the Rift Herald to be dropped. Gonna get a crash in. Will BDD get some gold? Yes, he will. 8T from this Herald crash. Kind of nice. Kind of big booty gold as another Scattered Weak glance. That was pretty sexy. KT Rolster fighting back to even in the gold charts. Bit of a surprise because that will probably have come from that Herald play. Pulling back the gold to an evenish state. Now, with the Drake on the board, it's going to be split 1-for-1 in terms of this objective, as both teams now have a Drake to their side. Oh, unlucky on the Drake soul, by the way. Chemtech for either team to be playing for, as KT group up as 3 to the bot side of the map, trying to force pressure down here onto this tower. Not going to look for a dive just yet, as we've got another couple of minutes on these tower plates. Not going to get too much pressure there as Knaave steals away a camp. Could be punished here. He's jumped diving forward by that Vi. Vi though not able to land the Q, so that means the chase ends. Never mind, the chase continues. Scatter Weak tags and allows for the steal of the camp. That's a Raptors trade, baby. Now, the Crooks become the next contest. Cuz up in this area, looking at the top laners to try and match. They aren't going to, as aiming, forced to use the Featherstorm. TP in from behind. That's coming from the mid lane as the Syndra shows up. BDD looking for a scatter, looking to hit the weak. Is going to be forced to use it when he's jumped on by it, missing. That's a great disengage out from JDG, who get the ultimate out of Desire. It is traded, in fact, for the Ghost of the Kaiser. But as a whole, they get a TP as well. Now, the TP response comes out from 369 to the top side of the map to kind of stop Keen's push. He does have his own TP. With the next objective being in the top half of the map, 369 is kind of clean and kind of okay to use his TP back up here. Now, what do KT Rolster do? Do they want to stay around for this objective? Keen goes back to base. He's actually going to go to the bot side of the map. That's kind of surprising, to say the least. As Cuz could be caught out. Force Q away. Knight drops the orb down to deny that easy access in. As the flash cease and desist comes through, Knight is going to be caught out and rooted. The shockwave lands onto Lahens. He's forced a wild growth himself, but he is being traded down. It's going to be the first kill of the fight. Traded the 1-for-1 as the mid laners get kills for themselves. But JDG, they're losing out on this fight. 2 members down for them. And that's going to be KT finding the fight. The jungler are still alive, however, as this Herald will not even spawn just yet. They're looking though here. JDG, they spot the back of Cuz. Sonic Wave going to be dodged out of. And KT Rolster, they get themselves 2 kills. And they get themselves pressure onto the map. As this Jax able to get some aggression into the mid lane. Force wave in to crash to the tower. We watch this fight again. Cuz he sees his target. Once that crown, Winter's Crown, gets bursted off of Knight, he goes in, shockwave,
does its work until end, but on the bottom half of the fight, 369, he just runs into the meat grinder of the Syndra and the Xayah. As such, he gets bursted out, and in picture, Herald gets secured by KT Rolster, who are going to probably look to use that mid. A minute until this Chemtech Drake spawns, and they're just dropping it straight away. And the late economy snapshot indicates the gold in favor of KT across the board. As the Herald crashes into mid lane tier 1, the Cask forces the Featherstorm out of the Xayah. That's a big ulti, big defensive ability gone from KT's side. This makes their contest for this Drake very, very hard. And as such, JDG probably will be likely to secure this. However, KT, their death group of 3, out onto the map, out towards this Chemtech pit, looking, hunting any JDG members who get over aggressive in that river. They are going to also secure a bit of vision for themselves. What do you know? As gold stands, only the top side of the map. Well, actually, no, that is in favor of KT, as somehow 369 has fallen behind. That was sitting in his favor slightly for a bit. But on live, we got the Chemtech Drake, I should say, online. It's missing. He spots BDD. JDG on the collapse down. The Rakan could look to get the thing. Scatterweek going to push him away, but already locked in place is a Syndra. And she gets bursted by 369. That's a big kill for JDG to get for themselves ahead of this Drake. There's no Syndra. Means there's very minimal AP damage. And looking at the builds, looking at the defenses, there's actually no armor on JDG's side of things. So they're going to be very susceptible to damage regardless. But the stuns, that big scatter of the week, cannot happen. So KT give up the objective. JDG get back onto the map as TP tops come through. Both teams looking for this tower dive as 369 lands the cast. Not going to be too effective as he gets bursted out. And that's going to be another kill over to KT as they get the double. They use quite a bit there in terms of ultimate power. But that would have you had to have felt used around that Drake regardless. That's going to be so much invested though by JDG. Giving over a TP and the life of their top laner and mid. For what? They gain nothing. They're not going to get the mid lane tier 1 just yet. It will fall. Inevitably. You hope. I'm just waiting for it to appear in the feed right now in the bottom half of the screen. And there you go. They get the mid lane tier 1. That's actually kind of a big prize. But the top lane tier 1 falls. You lose 2 kills as well. KT, they're happy with that trade. However, Knaave, he sees the Xayah. He's on the flank. He uses Dragon Kick straight through hands. But here comes Jax. He's caught out this Lee Sin. Trading aggressively. The chase down could come through. The scatter weak will not land. And that's going to be Divide going aggressive. Cuz kills off Knaave. And that is KT finding another kill. Getting into JDG's jungle. Stealing away some chemistry out of the field from here. He's missing. He launches into the air this Vi. Cuz though takes very little damage. Even with the Void Seeker coming through from Ruler. But KT on the front foot here. They're continuing to apply pressure. Vi's going to be able to protect BDD as he secures this tier 1 in the bot lane. You hope. Actually, it won't fall just yet. But the push, the pressure being applied by KT on sides. It's very, very hard to deal with. As every time JDG tried to answer the pressure, KT over invest members to kill off the JDG defense. As a whole, it's resulting in such a big advantage. And when JDG tried to force onto aiming in the mid lane, he just pops that Featherstorm and he's safe. It's so hard to kill this Xayah. And as such, when you do go for them sorts of plays, you put yourself in a bit of a difficult situation because Xayah buys so much time There's no safety. Granted, now there's no safety for her. So any follow-up play could come through, but look how safe, how far back this Zyra is playing. She isn't going to be susceptible to a play, and in fact, missing. Could be caught out, the cease and desist going to be used, and that is a dead Rakan around this Baron pit. KT could honestly look to force this. They won't go too far. I am honestly surprised they didn't go force the Baron here. Granted, it has just spawned. It'd be very hard to kill, but you think, look at what JDG have for options in terms of engage. It's a cast. It's a Lee Sin flank into a kick. The Rakan is the main engage for JDG. And with him dead then, you could have honestly have forced the fight, forced the Baron start, and tried and force JDG into a situation they don't want to be in. But instead, they give up pressure in the top half to get pressure on the bottom side, secure the tier 1 for themselves, and that is their inevitable prize. As KT sitting happy here. Honestly, they're doing quite well. This is a very strong position to be in. 4K, sorry, gold lead for themselves. As Missing once again gets tagged by the Vi. He's just protecting the mid laners right now. We need to see, honestly, something from JDG to catch out aiming before you can pop that Feather Storm. But very effective at it as stepping forward, because just he hits you. That's all he's been doing, is punching a target, regardless of if he hits the Q or not. And he's looking again for Missing. Cease and desist comes through. Again, the Rakan's caught, bursted, and killed off by Cuz. That's a big kill to find. Maybe this time they force the Baron. Little damage down, put onto it. TPs are up and available for 369 and Ruler, but look at the damage coming through from KT. They're already trying to kill the members of JDG as they step forward. Ruler forced back to the safety of his tower as TP's finally going to be invested here by JDG to the top half of the map. The Drake, though, going over to KT. Bit of pressure being put down by KT. Is look at that damage. Nearly an absolute insta-delete out from this Syndra. BDD certainly has a lot of power. Top plays could be coming through here as Knave hunting for BDD. Won't find him. And instead, KT, they get to continue their push on the bot side. The trade, though, will be this top lane tier 1 you have to feel. As BDD coming up. Won't be there in time, I don't think. As the tier 2 is going to fall once again. Another turret in favor of KT Rolster, who, let's be honest, are finding the members as this possible 2v2 could be coming through as Knave forced to flash out. He sees BDD, he sees Cuz. That Everfrost is massive as it denies the advancement. 4 members of KT are here, and Rakan goes aggressive. The charm, the quickness finds its mark, but Missing incredibly low. Could be bursted out here as the Scatter Weak tags up. 369 forced to use his Zhonya's or stopwatch, whichever it is. Regardless, it is useless as he gets slain. And KT Rolster, they find the fight. And this should be the Baron to boot. TP, gonna be invested. KT joining up. BDD ready to use his Scatter Weak. He's spotted. Ruler jumps on him. The shockwave! It finds its mark! Ruler and Knight killing off the backline of KT. The shutdowns come through. JDG find their men. They're killing them off. This is game over. You thought you were winning, but you just got shockwave to death. As KT Rolster throw at the Baron pit. JDG, they find everything they needed. What a big throw that was, let's be honest. Kaiser steps forward. Invisible just bursts him out. The shockwave finds its mark. Now no support for aiming means that this Xayah, when she goes into Defense Storm, is in front of two big damage dealers. They get the big kills. Then on top half, it's just Lee Sin and the Rakan just peeling, dealing with the Jax. The triple kill goes over to Ruler, and the Baron ends up in the back pockets of JDG. And we were saying earlier about the turrets being KT's prize, how they've been winning the game. Now with Baron on JDG's side, some of that long-standing tower gold should be secured, especially in this bot lane. You've got a tier 1 to be picked up, and probably this tier 2 alongside it will be secured, as Knaave and 369 with the rest of the team behind them stepping forward into the bottom half of the map. Ruler and Knight, the two big members of JDG, pushing aggressive. The orb being the measuring stick, being the you can't advance past this point. No, no, no. Top half of the map, we are seeing Cuz and BDD trading tier 2 for inhibitor tower. That is not the sort of trade you want to be giving up. In fact, Cuz staying around, BDD staying around. What is happening? They could lose their base. They could lose everything. But JDG are the ones to back away. They see the Drake spawning in less than a minute. They want to secure the objective, but they could have continued to push. KT slow to respond, but Ruler, he's forced to run away. Uses the orb, the speed boost, to get some extra distance away from this collapsing KT squad. And as such, gets himself to safety. Big items being picked up here. So that's going to be Black Cleaver for Knave's Lee Sin. Be able to deal a lot better with the Vi and the Jax now, who are already quite bulky. 369 possibly could be caught out here. The Baron back will not be in time as the Scatter Weak denies it. The cast comes through. The stopwatch, it's just there to keep him around, but the polymorph, it needs aiming, doesn't take any damage there. 369 gets killed off. That's one less Baron for KT to have to worry about. And they're looking to collapse down. Ruler gonna run away. Knaave on the flank. Sonic Wave would have been spotted there. And JDG could be caught out. The TP flank comes through. Forces a stopwatch though is missing, as that is a huge amount of burst. The wild growth lands and Knaave goes in deep. He fights the man, and that's going to be a continuation out from Ruler. Look at Knight and Ruler, the main damage, the main killers of JDG, as Knaave falls on the backside. But that's going to be a trade. Both junglers are dead. A shutdown goes over to Ruler, and that's going to be Drake number 3. Soul point secure for JDG. And that was such a, I would call that a messy fight. As the base in tatters for JDG. Their inhibitor in the bot lane is down. It means that Nexus towers are in the eyes of the JDG minions. No wave going to be pushed up for KT and down there. As I hope we get a replay. And we do. So the TB flank comes through for BDD. He's immediately jumped on by the Rakan, forced to go into status. But it's just the Orianna orb into Killer Instinct, into Knaave, dashing forward to secure the kill. Then look at all the summoners being burnt. Knaave tries to dive onto the backside and get a play onto aiming, but he isn't able to. It's a similar sort of story coming out from Cuz as he tries to do the same thing onto the backside. But it doesn't work out. In the end, JDG, they get the Drake. And they're possibly looking for a fight. They almost catch out Lehens. The Scatter Weak dodged out there by missing. Nice play overall from the Rakan. And he's being constantly harassed. I told you. Because whenever he can dash forward, he will, and he will punch you. won't do much damage now. And in fact, he could be caught out here. Launched into the air. The Scatter Weak will work out to buy time for the Q to come out from the Vi. As the bottom half, there's going to be a fight here. As Knight caught out, forced a Shockwave, forced a Flash, being chased down by Keen. The Jax now in a bit of an issue, being ran down by JDG. They've caught him out as another continuation of the fight. 369 somehow falls. He was forced into status and gets killed off by the Jackson BDD as that blast code brings Cuz into all of JDG, taken low and killed off by Ruler. KT Rolster, they lose their jungler, but they do get the top laner of JDG. But with Baron up in 19 seconds, that will be a dead Vi for when that spawns. As the base though, they've lost their Nexus tower. One of them's down, they're forced to respond. It's going to be Keen to get to this one. He's protecting his base. He has got TP, so if anything comes out from JDG towards this Baron objective, you have to feel he'll be forced to make his TP play, forced to fight. But look at how deep JDG have got their vision. There's no TP ward. There is one. He's coming on a control ward. It's going to be Keen joining up. But Baron, it's already so low. Jumping onto the backline is the Jax, but he is isolated and rooted. No safety. He's somehow jumping to safety, but the Kaiser continues to chase, continues to find the members as Kanave. He's on the flank. He's hunting with the rest of his team for KT Rolster. It's going to be one kill already picked up, and the Baron alongside this JDG squad. The game got messy. The game's got scrappy. But JDG are thriving in this mess. The inhibitor has respawned in the bot lane. KT not having to worry about super minions just yet. But they will do in a few seconds, you have to feel. Surprisingly, JDG just reset. They're not going to use the Baron too effectively here. Still got 2 minutes on it though. So maybe they go for it. But with a minute out on this Chemtech Drake, Chemtech Soul, you have to feel they'll be setting up for that as that's going to be aggressive killer instinct forward. They've caught aiming out. JDG coming, trying to fight, but look at Missing's health bar already taken low. Similar sort of story to Ruler, forced into status as Kanave gets forward, flashes, but Cuz is the one to fall. Legendary goes Ruler, and the mid lane just fights breaking out. It's insanity. It's just one simple dash forward results in ruthless aggression from JDG. They're opening up the base of KT Rolster. We thought they wouldn't use this Baron too effectively, but they have somehow found a fight. The polymorph used, and now what can KT Rolster do? Aiming needs to make a stand for his team as Keen forced to jump forward. Rakan taken low, but he is not dead yet. The Jags Grandmasters might come through to how much strike used. That's going to be first kill over to aiming as BDD forced to flash out. This is going to be such a massive fight, but the Nexus, it's falling. That was the prize JDG wanted, and the game ends as JDG advance to semi-finals with such a interesting, chaotic game number 4. There's no easy way to break that one down other than to say chaos across the rift. It was scrappy in the last game. JDG brawled. They stepped forward and got picked off from time to time, but they found the right fights. They found the picks in a dire situation. It looked like they were out of it, but one Shockwave, one Ruler Invis caught out KT, got them slipping, killed their ADC, who, let's be honest, that's a difficult task to do on his kill Isaiah. They picked off the LCK 3rd seed and beat them in, I wouldn't say an easy fashion. It was certainly a JDG S game that was out of control. But they did manage to make it work. I thought that Baron, the last Baron, would have been just a... We're going to buy time, get Soul, and then go for the end on the third Baron. But they just pushed the issue. They continued to go aggressive, and KT couldn't stop the steamroll. As such, they exit Worlds here. That's going to be that for today's stream. I have kind of really enjoyed this one, because that goal graph, that tells you everything. It was KT controlled until that one shockwave found its mark. Simple as that. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for SK T1, even though it's technically just T1 now, taking on LNG.